use bidirectional interpretation into English and Spanish. If you're bilingual, you don't have to click anything. But if you're not bilingual and you're using your laptop, in a few seconds, you'll see an icon shaped like a globe at the bottom of your screen. Click on Language Interpretation and then select English. If you're using your phone or an iPad, in a few seconds, locate the icon shaped like three dots in one of the corners of your screen. Click on Language Interpretation and then select English. And when you speak, do so at a moderate pace because the interpreters are going to be simultaneously interpreting everything you say. A efectos de proporcionar acceso lingüístico, contaremos con interpretación simultánea bidireccional al inglés y al español. Si usted es bilingüe, no tiene que presionar nada, pero si usted no es bilingüe y está en su computadora, en unos segundos verá un icono en forma de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Haga clic en Interpretación y después seleccione Español o Spanish. Si está en su iPad o su teléfono, en unos segundos busca el menú de 3 puntos o que dice More en una de las esquinas de su pantalla. Haga clic en Interpretación y después seleccione Español o Spanish y después aceptar, finalizar o done. Cuando hable, hágalo en español y las intérpretes estarán simultáneamente interpretando todo lo que usted diga. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. If you wish to view closed captions of this meeting, please view the meeting on the SMUHSD Board Meeting YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel can be found on our website. You may view captions in English as we live stream our meeting tonight, and you may view the captions in a variety of other languages if you choose to watch after this meeting has ended. Viewers may request additional accommodations by calling 650-558-2201. That's 650-558-2201. For our deaf and hard of hearing community, we have a team from HANA Interpreting Services, and they will be interpreting our meeting this evening. We would like to ask everyone to speak at a clear and reasonable pace for our interpreters. Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to welcome our new student board members and ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. There were no actions taken in closed session. Item J, adopt the agenda. The Board of Trustees may either adopt the agenda as presented or make a change to the agenda through a motion, second, and majority vote. The Brown Act prohibits any additions to the agenda without a 72-hour public notice for regularly scheduled board meetings. Are there any questions or comments from the Board of Trustees or the Superintendent with respect to the agenda? Any public comment? I don't believe there are any blue cards specifically. Any online comments?
Yes, I have one raised hand.
On the
Oh, I'm sorry. I have one raised hand. I don't know if it's on this topic though.
okay. Then we'll move ahead. Would a trustee care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Student board reps, how do you vote? Okay. Motion carries. We will now move to K1, report of the superintendent.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Welcome our new student board reps. Good to have you here. I want to start off by saying that in 2019, the California Senate declared April as Arts, Culture, and Creativity Month. And there are a lot of VAPA, Visual and Performing Arts, events happening this month and in May, including a district-wide student art show at the Society of West Coast Artists in San Bruno from April 24th through May 2nd. And I want to encourage the community to see a full list of our visual and performing arts events across the district by visiting www.smuhsd.org/VAPA or VAPA. So really exciting stuff, and our students are incredible in their visual and performing arts performances. Golden Apples, I want to take a moment to recognize our 2 March Golden Apple recipients, which we awarded late last month, and our February Golden Apple, which we awarded last month due to a scheduling issue. Ryan Stevens was our certificated February Golden Apple recipient. He's a teacher at Hillsdale High School, and he's been with the district for 8 years. Principal Jeff Gilbert said of Ryan, "Few educators give as much to their students as Ryan does, knowing that he will carry a heavy burden for caring so much and knowing that the results of his work may not be immediately seen. Ryan is a great teacher in the classroom, a wonderful colleague within all of his team, and an advisor that is trusted and beloved. Ryan embodies all that we hope for out of a smaller learning community teacher, and we're so fortunate that he is a knight." Our March classified Golden Apple recipient was Lisa Yakushi, our district human resources assistant, and Lisa has been with the district for 8 years as well. Nicolette Landucci said, "Lisa's care for every district employee shows through her diligent and meticulous work ethic. She tackles issues head on, quickly, and with confidence. With HR, she consistently steps up and takes on extra tasks, often going above and beyond her usual responsibilities to cover a coworker, head new projects, etc. I'm grateful to have Lisa as a coworker and a mentor, and she's been a great help to me personally with my transition into human resources. And I know I can go to her with questions, any questions or advice when needed. Thank you, Lisa." And our March certificated Golden Apple recipient was Janice Kelly, a counselor at Hillsdale High School. Janice has been with the district for 36 years. Assistant Principal Jesse Boyes said, "Jan's dedication goes well beyond words. It can't even be counted in years. It can only be measured in decades and by the thousands of students she has served and by all those who were impacted positively from students for whom she has counseled. Yes, she is a school counselor, but she is also an ETA group leader, a member of school communities, a trusted colleague to many, and an SLC at-large representative. Jan, our school is so much better because of you. Thank you." And just coming up in 2025, Passover begins at sundown on Saturday, April 12th, and lasts until the evening of Sunday, April 20th. And we want to wish all who celebrate a happy Passover. And we also have Easter, which is Sunday, April 20th. And we wish all who celebrate Easter a fun time with family and friends. And that is it. So thank you.
Thank you. Report of the District Teachers Association, Representative Ariane Adamchikova.
Press the button. There you go.
There you go.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Booker, colleagues, community members and staff, students. My name is Ariane Adamchikova, and I'm here on behalf of the San Mateo Union High School District Teachers Association. I will be reporting tonight on the district multilingual language program and offer some insights into how we can best support our multilingual language learner students throughout our district. A little bit about me. I am a Spanish and multilingual language teacher at Cappuccino High School. I began my teaching career at Mills High School in 2002, where I taught Japanese and Spanish. Over the years, I have taught all levels of Spanish, including our native Spanish for native speakers, our International Baccalaureate Spanish program at Cappuccino High School, as well as English courses targeting both our first-year newcomers and our students exiting our multilingual language classes. Additionally, I helped develop the curriculum for our newcomer native speakers program to target the literacy and tech skills gaps in our SLIFE population. SLIFE stands for students with limited and/or interrupted formal education. I, like many in our district, have deep experience and knowledge about the process of acquiring a language, the body of research, and the importance of cultural competency. Many of us are language and cultural learners ourselves. I am proud of the work that many of us have done over the years, and the collective actions we have taken towards supporting our newcomers. While Cappuccino has the smallest of the newcomer programs, our size is our biggest strength. Students are welcomed into a school with a very tight-knit cohort of teachers and staff who enjoy collaborating together and sharing student stories to build success, resiliency, and camaraderie. We teachers rely on the expertise of Adam Faber, our ML department chair, Sal Castillo, our multilingual learner specialist, Fernanda Selly, our family coordinator, and Wendy Rivera, our ML counselor, as well as all of the staff and the College and Career Center and Wellness Program. Our multilingual learners participate in our athletics programs, extracurriculars, arts, music, dance, and CTE programs, as well as the district ELD soccer league. At Cappuccino, we emphasize community building with our students as they acquire English and academic skills. Some of the highlights of this past year that teachers and staff wanted me to share with you tonight include a Thanksgiving potluck with foods from our students' home cultures, an after-school carnival with games and prizes, and an end-of-year field day. Our field trips, however, are one of the highlights of the year. This year, on the first Saturday of spring break, 27 students and 5 staff members took BART to the ferry building and out to Angel Island. Students and staff took a guided tour with a park ranger and reflected together on the struggles of immigrants from China in the early 20th century, recognizing how immigrants today still face discrimination and hardship. Students also witnessed the importance of documenting their own experiences as they become part of the American story. Students and staff built connections, and students gained real-life experiences practicing English in a non-school environment. At Cappuccino, we are also the only school in the district with an international baccalaureate program, which emphasizes our international connectedness and communities. We boast a large number of newcomer students who benefit from our IB program, passing from our multilingual language math courses into our advanced level IB math classes, and also enroll in our IB arts programs, Spanish programs, and science programs. Many educators seek to work in our district because of our humanizing and research-based approach that focuses on our students' proficiency levels, academic levels, and backgrounds, including from a trauma-informed perspective, and including a perspective on and knowledge about the limited academic experiences of some of our learners. However, last year, a lot changed in our newcomer program across the district, affecting every single one of our comprehensive high schools and peninsula. Our district adopted a different approach to our newcomer students, informing teachers, staff, administrators, and students that the state required all of our students to fully exit the newcomer program within 30 months of being admitted to a U.S. school. We began the process of compliance with the new board policy. Many district educators immediately raised concerns about the negative consequences that a one-size-fits-all program would have on students, particularly those coming to us with limited educational backgrounds and/or trauma. We know that all students acquire language at different rates and that there are many issues that affect our students' growth and language acquisition that are beyond our ability to control or speed up. As predicted, many of our students, perhaps 15% of our newcomer students, have not thrived or even progressed under the new strict guidelines. For these students, attendance, motivation, and self-confidence have diminished. They are now placed in classes in which they cannot possibly access the content or curriculum due to overwhelming language barriers. I was a student like that myself when I went to Spain after having 4 years of high school Spanish. It was not enough, and I flunked nearly all of my classes except for English and math. As teachers, we have been asked to comply with this program. with no added support for our struggling students. Teachers' workloads have increased. Teachers have been asked to create translated materials and novels, create more scaffolds and language supports, with no increase in instructional aids, access to purchasing such materials, or time to translate all of our materials into multiple languages. Acting in good faith, teachers feel that they must, in good conscience, pass our struggling ML students, even though they may not meet a baseline of the academic standards required. Teachers do not want to discourage or demoralize our students. This has been an ongoing struggle, and many of us have sounded the alarm to get our students the support they need and deserve. We have identified students throughout this year and last who are just not ready to be in our mainstream standardized classes. While we at Cappuccino know that our students succeed best when they are well known to the adults on campus and to one another, we also know that they need to be placed adequately in classes that match their proficiency level in English, which encourages them to keep learning within the appropriate amount of linguistic stretch. Last fall, CC Cronin, a highly respected, longtime ELD and ML teacher and former ELD department chair of San Mateo High School, who I believe began in this district in 1991 and is sitting here tonight, wrote to Superintendent Booker and the members of the board to request a listening session with teachers to discuss the cascading effects on both newcomers and mainstream students due to this change in policy. Board members reached out to CC, and many conversations with teachers ensued. A meeting was held in January with district personnel in which teachers shared their concerns, shared narratives about particular students who were doing poorly in the new structure, and we discussed whether our district was in compliance with the Lau versus Nichols law, which requires districts to provide a language acquisition pathway toward entering the standard program. I am now very happy to report the news that our concerns have been heard, and we are reconvening a district-wide task force that will once again include the voices of our teachers to rewrite the district policy to include the necessary flexibility that some of our students need to acquire English and access the curriculum. I want to thank the board members who spent many hours in phone discussions and meetings with teachers to examine the law and examine the student street data that we shared. Specifically, I want to thank trustees Ligia Andrade Zuniga and Jennifer Jacobson for their advocacy and for their time. We invite all of you to meet our teachers, our counselors, talk to our students who need more time, and hear all of our voices. Thank you for supporting our multilingual language learners and immigrant students during a challenging time of dislocation, instability, and insecurity. We know that we are better when we work together in collaboration as faculty and administrators and community members, and that we must center our students' linguistic needs and goals, as well as use best practices in order to promote English acquisition, well-being, and integration into our society. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Report of the CSEA Chapter 519 representative, Mr. Brewer.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dale Brewer. I am an electrician here at the school district and also the CSEA president, and I am happy to speak to you tonight on behalf of our group. CSEA is now preparing for negotiations with the school district. Tonight, we actually had a meeting and we're going over the negotiations. So we're looking forward to doing that. No other real news to report tonight, so we can keep it short and sweet. But just a reminder, CSEA is working back here on the internet. CSEA is cleaning up spills. We're here for you to make everything go smooth so that our teachers can teach our students. And you're absolutely correct. It's so much better when we all work together because like Mr. Booker says all the time, everyone here at the district is an educator. And I know as an electrician, I still take that to heart because I know I got to keep the electricity going, lights on. So thank you guys very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Report of the San Mateo Adult School Teachers Association.
There's no report this evening.
Report of the Student Board Representatives. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello there.
So you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Johnny Lopez. I represent Middle College. I am a junior.
Good evening, dear board members. I'm Vinisha Sharma and I'm a sophomore at San Mateo High School.
Currently at Middle College right now, we are expecting our semester flex day field trip to UC Davis and UC Santa Cruz. But besides that, we have no new reports, no new activities going on this month or next.
Okay, so from San Mateo High School, we have the drama Hadestown, the musical coming up. It's on and this weekend, April 11th through 13th and 7th through 19th, the next weekend. We have prom coming up on April 26th, 7th to 11 p.m. at Oakland Scottish Rite, and its theme is Bearcat Masquerade. We also have a Pride prom coming up on April 18th from 6:30 to 10 p.m. at CSM. For sports, personally, I'm part of badminton, and it's going pretty well for now. And then we have boys soccer, who have a very good win streak. Girls soccer, making records. Girls and boys basketball both have gone to the Ocean League Championships, and boys basketball had made it to the CCS playoffs. Okay, so last board meeting, we had an AI discussion with Mr. Simmons. He took our feedback on how he thinks teachers should use AI or not use AI, how they've been doing it, so they know how students are feeling about it. We reported that most of us did use AI to some extent for mostly test preps, because we're like, here's a text, can you help us with it? We also had varying teacher approaches. Some were strongly against it and some did not quite talk about it. They did not address the issue exactly. So to summarize, we just thought that there was a need for a stronger ethical guidance and equity in the access of which AI to use, which would be best for us as students and also as teachers. And we also decided on merch designs for the board council and sweatshirt logos through customing to see which one suits us best. And we're looking forward to our next meeting where Dr. Julia Kemke will talk to us about the instructional frameworks. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to governing board comments. I missed whatever you guys were saying.
Public comment first on the agenda.
Public comments first.
The little sheet I have here, put the governing board comments. I can't.
That is correct. Governing board comments and then public comment.
We'll get to both of them. I only deliver the text. I don't make it up, but that's fine. We're gonna go ahead and get these governing board comments out of the way quickly. Trustee Chavez.
He says quickly and then he says trustee Chavez. I will be quick. Usually it doesn't go hand in hand, but I will try my best. I only have a couple of things to say. I want to say thank you to our new board reps for this quarter. You guys are amazing. I just love that we have our student reps here each and every one of our meetings. Couple things. About a week ago, I attended I was also at the first one a year ago. I attended the second annual Women's Power Breakfast hosted by Assemblymember Diane Pappen. And women leaders throughout the entire county of San Mateo are invited. And many trustees were in attendance as well as city council members and other leaders in San Mateo County. Women business owners, several leaders. It was awesome. There was a panel discussion as well. I saw Trustee Jacobs in there. Also, our very own adult school, our principal of our adult school, Angela Taylor, was there as well. So that it was great to see a couple of folks there from SMUHSD. And just one more thing to share. This is more about myself. I was just recently appointed as a CSBA delegate for Region 5B San Mateo County. and I'll be working with Greg. Greg's one of the delegates. So there's about 6 or 7 delegates. I had information here, but I know I'm supposed to be fast. There are, so CSBA is California School Board Association. So a lot of us attend an annual conference. But in addition to that, we are divided into 21 geographic regions. So our area is San Mateo County, and we have 6 or 7 delegates. And I'm honored to be appointed in that position. Greg, Trustee Land is also a delegate as well. So collaborating together with other delegates from around the state of California is a great thing. And I'm really excited about that. And I will end there so that I don't get, elbowed. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for your comments. And, for the sake of the confusion, we tried to we changed the order. And so we had governing board comments come before so we can get these guys out of the way. So that's where that confusion came from, because the actual printed agenda has the old traditional thing. So Trustee Land. Oh, Trustee Jacobson. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well,
No, I'm going by roll call order.
I don't have a lot to say. Just that I also attended the power breakfast that Trustee Chavez mentioned, and I attended a lacrosse game at Burlingame High School yesterday versus Hillsdale, and the new gym is looking great. I'm excited for that. So, and I just want to thank everybody who came here tonight. Thank you for your reports, and look forward to hearing more this meeting.
Trustee Land.
I will just do a lot of echoes. One, I drive by the Burlingame gym and it's amazing how fast it's gone up. It's amazing. I'm so impressed. Yes, Trustee Chavez was right. I am a delegate assembly and got elected this year. So welcome aboard. We'll see you at the delegate assembly. And also, I was not at the women's breakfast, but I want to honor the woman of the year, who's a very good friend of mine, Donna Colson. And she's a very good friend of mine and former mayor of Burlingame, and she's still on the city council. And I just was so impressed. She's such a giving person and really strong in our community. So I have to acknowledge her publicly on that. The last thing is, since you took a personal privilege, I am too. AXA, which is another acronym, but it's for Administrators of California. I was just appointed to the Middle Grades Education Council for AXA. So I will be doing that for middle schools. So I just got appointed to that. So thank you. So doing a lot of things with education. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Yes, thank you. I first want to start with a land acknowledgement that was written by some of our Cappuccino students a few years ago. Our community acknowledges that all of our campuses lie on the ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone. The Ramaytush are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula, whose land was stolen from them and whose native language was lost because of Spanish colonization. As settlers on the stolen land of the peninsula, we should be alongside the Ramaytush, remembering and honoring their ancestors and relatives. We thank the first people, the Ramaytush Ohlone, for taking care of the land we use now for education and activities. Our responsibility of caring for the earth is unique and personal to each of us, but should be rooted in allyship with the Ramaytush Ohlone so we can work together to protect and preserve the land for future generations. I did not attend the power breakfast, but I heard it was really nice. So I'm glad that we had representation from our district. So thank you for attending. I am part of the San Mateo County School Board Association. I'm the secretary, and we have our Kent Award dinner on May 2nd at the Crown Plaza. So for anyone that's interested, you can go to the San Mateo County's School Board Association website. And for the trustees, please also sign up to go. We recognize different programs throughout all of the different school districts in the county and give them an award. We also have different speakers and different entertainment. We are actually looking for some some performers from our district, if anybody would like to participate, please let me know. That would be really, really, really good. There's also, I want, for everything that's been happening with folks that are undocumented here in our community, don't forget that there are red cards that you can access that will give you all of the information on what your rights are. And some of those are also done through, given out through the county. I'm not sure if anyone in the district does, but if they do, thank you. And please, please distribute those. My heart's really heavy for our community. There's been a lot of people that have just disappeared, and then we hear that they are in another country. So it's very taxing on a lot of us. I can't even imagine how taxing it would be on our students and our teachers, so, and our staff. So please just hold each other close. There's some information through Supervisor Noelia Cordozo's office that also has a lot of information on immigration services. And so again, she's a supervisor that represents some of our community here in the district. So you can go to her website as well and get some information. Like our students mentioned, April 18th at 6:30 p.m. at CSM is the annual Pride Prom that our district is very proudly part of. Let's see, I chair the California State Independent Living Council through their governor's office, and I joined, every quarter we have statewide meetings, and last week I attended our statewide meetings where we talked a lot about special education, about services for folks with disabilities, whether they are youth with disabilities or transition-aged youth. The changes that have been happening with our just funding sources and the Administration for Community Living that also provides a lot of resources through our Centers for Independent Living. I work for one, and we are just experiencing a lot of uncertainty. So if you could please advocate for us to your legislators for folks with disabilities, especially our young people, please do so. So reach out to your legislators about education funding, about special education funding, about immigrant rights. That would be excellent. And lastly, I just want to leave us with the quote by Alexis Terrazas, who was the editor-in-chief for El Tecolote newspaper from San Francisco. He says, "May we never stay silent in the face of injustice. May we never lose our humanity." And so I want to thank all of our folks in our district, our educators, who advocate tirelessly for our students who are here tonight. All of the parents that come and speak, everybody that just advocates for those who really need the advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no comments this evening because all I've done since our last meeting was work. So I'm like, I do taxes for a living, and I'm not looking for any more tax returns. So public comments. If you are joining us in person and wish to make a comment about an agenda item or during the public comments section at the beginning of the agenda, please fill out a request to address the board form and submit it to the secretary. This form should be given to the secretary before the agenda item begins. If you are joining us virtually, use the raised hand feature on Zoom to be recognized. When invited to do so, your camera must be on before you are called upon to make a public comment. We will call on you to begin your comment once we have promoted you into the meeting. If your camera is not operational, please email your comments to the Board of Trustees at board@smuhsd.org. That's board@smuhsd.org. Please note that comments are limited to 3 minutes. The board president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public comment depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. I will call on in-person comments first, and we will allow 3 minutes this evening. So Diana de Guzman.
Good evening, President Griffin, members of the board, district cabinet, and the SMUHSD community. My name is Diana de Guzman, and I'm the lead wellness counselor at San Mateo High School. I've served this community and district for almost 18 years in various roles. From a trainee working with teen moms at Peninsula, to a contracted school safety advocate, a district wellness counselor, and now a lead. This work is deeply personal to me and to all of us who show up every day for our students. In all my years of working with the district leadership, from Scott Lawrence, Kindy Lee Macklemore, Kevin Skelly, and Don Scatena, I can say that never before have I felt such a lack of support for the wellness program and the meaningful student-centered work my colleagues and I provide until now. Tonight, my colleagues and I are here to respectfully ask for your attention to shine a light on a deeply concerning issue, the injustice, lack of transparency, and support for our program, specifically around the clinical services supervisor role, and the changes being imposed that are more than just a structural shift. This role supports 20 wellness counselors and ensures we're able to provide consistent and compassionate care to all our students. As a lead, I know how critical a clinical supervisor is in supporting me to manage high crises on my campus, and why current structure has worked so well. Previous models involved travel time, created challenges with inconsistent support, coordinating schedules, securing spaces, and managing multiple sites. The current model improves accessibility, timely support, and student outcomes, reducing liability. Since January, our group has repeatedly reached out for meetings with the superintendent and Dr. Black with the support of our CSEA union. Instead, we've faced delays, and now we're told a threat of litigation prevents any dialogue at this time, therefore silencing us. Imposing changes without meaningful dialogue feels like our voices and therefore students' needs are being dismissed and minimized. With the job posting moved to close April 18 from original date of July, while we're in the midst of supporting students through finals, graduation, and life transitions, not to mention the issues with immigration anxiety and all of the other anxiety and depression that students are feeling with the social, emotional, political climate at this time. Today, I ask the board, please be aware of what is happening to our program. Where is the harm in listening to your dedicated employees in sharing the impact of these changes to help district leadership understand why preserving the current model of the clinical services supervisor is so important? You will hear more from my colleagues that are joining me here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucero Govilla.
Good evening and buenas tardes, board members, district cabinet, and members of the community. My name is Lucero Govea, and I currently serve as the lead mental health therapist at Capuchino High School. I have been part of this district for 16 years. I am adding on to what my colleague discussed related to the clinical supervisor position and would like to provide valuable perspective on how this shift affects both staff and our students. The role of a clinical supervisor is required for licensing, but it's especially vital in supporting mental health therapists. As wellness staff, we are fortunate to have a supervision that blends professionalism, expertise, and compassion. A supervisor doesn't just oversee, they inspire, guide, and care about the well-being of each team member and the students we serve. In this program, quality supervision has equated to student safety and staff retention. Since the program began in 2016, the role of clinical supervisor has gone through many changes, with various setups that have been unsuccessful. Between 2016 and 2018, the district tried having site-based coordinators, but the role was unsustainable. leading to frequent staff turnover, making it hard to maintain consistency. In 2019, after thoughtful system reorganization, the current model was introduced, providing more stability, stronger support, and better alignment with the district goals for student mental health. Ultimately, we are here today to stress the importance of the work and the vital role clinical supervision has played in our success and student safety. We're experiencing a serious mental health crisis. Our students are dealing with far more than the typical adolescent struggles. Some are undocumented and are fearing family separation. Others are navigating changes related to gender identity protections, and many are under immense stress at school, at home, and their relationships, which puts them at risk in terms of mental health. These are the issues we manage every day, and we need accessible, high-quality supervision to support us. I thank you for listening. I invite you to speak with us directly to better understand the value and need of this role, and we request this issue be added to an upcoming board agenda for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Gabriella Gelb.
Good evening, board members, district cabinet, and members of the community. My name is Gabriella Gelb. I am an associate mental health therapist at Cappuccino High School and have been working in our district in multiple roles as a mental health therapist for 5 years. I am adding to what my colleagues before me have already shared related to the clinical services supervisor position. Our team was informed of changes to our supervision structure on January 31st, mid-year and just before March, a time when student crisis historically peaks. As a frontline mental health provider, we assess the severity of suicidal ideation, abuse, neglect, assault, and other serious concerns, often relying on immediate consultation with our clinical supervisor to ensure student safety. We respond to high-impact crises like housing loss, caregiver deaths, fears of deportation, and even site-based tragedies, all while supporting students and families and managing our own emotional toll. We navigate all of these instances legally, ethically, and empathically because of our clinical supervision. This school year alone, my Cappuccino team had 720 individual student sessions and 767 additional student visits to the CHS wellness space. Excuse me. We have initiated 57 safety checks this school year with students. Ultimately, the proposed change to our supervision model will directly affect student safety and staff effectiveness, not only for the 20 therapists who require the supervision, but also for the 12 licensed therapists who we work alongside. When presented for approval at the January 16th board meeting, the clinical services supervisor role was misrepresented as having shifted to remote only due to the pandemic. Why, when this role is finally being approved for permanency, is the structure that makes it successful being questioned. The board has renewed it as virtual annually without concerns, and therefore there has been no disruption to clinical supervision for the last 5 school years and extended school years for up to 20 therapists across all of our sites. Why is this model in question when our assistant superintendent informed our director of mental health that, and I quote, the employed clinical supervisor would be able to provide virtual supervision as necessary and appropriate. Our current model provides a supervisor who is always accessible during crises and who is ethically, legally, and culturally competent, built from years of experience in our district. It allows us to remain on site during the 3 hours of required weekly supervision as mandated by our licensing board. All of this is to say, why is this change happening and what is the plan for obtaining consistent and qualified school-based supervision support for the 20 therapists who it directly affects? Why weren't we included in any of the discussions related to this proposed change? We are available to discuss this further, and we appreciate your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Elena Ortiz.
Good evening. I'm Elena Ortiz. I've had the honor of serving San Mateo High School in the district for the past 10 years. As a bilingual, bicultural wellness counselor and a daughter of immigrants, I bring personal and professional insight to my work. I strive to provide our ML newcomer students with a sense of stability and connection, especially in today's political climate, where representation, cultural humility, identity affirmation, and safety are more than important than ever. Many of our newcomers and multilingual learners, students, are navigating grief, loss, disrupted education, complex barriers from legal status, and being in survival mode. They require harm reduction interventions, particularly to our victims of exploitation, foster youth, and students on probation, and many of whom continue to be exposed to violence and injustice. These challenges impact their emotional well-being, their ability to trust, and their capacity to learn and engage in school and day-to-day life. Our wellness team first learned of the proposed changes to the clinical service supervisor role at a January board meeting that disrupt timing just before a critical period in the school year and during a political sensitive time raised concerns about the transparency of this process. Originally an in-person role, the position transitioned to remote with board approval before the pandemic. Having worked in both models, I can confidently say that remote supervision provides us with immediate access to clinical guidance, especially during crisis. I rely on this support several times a week during high-need crisis. A supervisor can't be effective if they're constantly moving between sites or scrambling to find a private space to take my call while also trying to provide quality care. Changing back to the previous structure would weaken this program. Professionals who work in this field, like our director, understand this need, and their input should be taken into account when making these changes. The district administrator made this change to our supervision without any conversation or input from us. Remote supervision has not decreased quality, it's actually improved it, ensuring trauma-informed care for our students and support of the wellness counselors. Many of the positions in the district meet staff online, and this model helps retain our diverse clinicians who are crucial to our program and for our students. We respectfully request a chance to discuss the value of the role directly and ask that it be added to a future board agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Amelia Nash. I'm sorry, I can't read your handwriting, so.
I know, it was hard. I had to write it on my chair. Thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Amelia Nash. I'm an unlicensed therapist who has been working for the past 6 years with students across the district who need an alternative to suspension. These are students who are fighting, posting bullying comments, using drugs and alcohol on campus, using dehumanizing language. Many of my students tend to be students who you talk most about wanting to serve in your board meetings, students who are chronically absent, students who are failing all their classes, students who don't particularly want to be at school and are not thriving there. I love the work I do, giving these students a trusted adult to feel connected to, but it's challenging work. I am concerned that the seriousness of having a strong clinical supervisor is not being understood by our district leadership. As you've heard this evening, we have been trying to raise these concerns and open a conversation, first with the head of human resources, Dr. Black, then with the superintendent, Mr. Booker, only to be met with silence and feeling ignored. Our current clinical supervisor is remote and not being considered for the position, despite having thrived remotely in this role since before COVID. Dropping a new person into this role to supervise 20 therapists doing so many different things across the district is risky and exposes the district to avoidable liability. Our current clinical supervisor is highly experienced, highly knowledgeable about our district, and has supported this team successfully for many years. To see her being pushed out due to a new requirement to be on site without any clear reason is disheartening when there are examples across the district of hybrid and remote work. As therapists, we don't get to choose what comes our way every day, but having high-quality clinical supervision gives us the courage to face that unknown. I know many of you board members value the wellness program. We apologize for having to take up board time, but we wanted to bring our concerns to light so action can be taken before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you. Adriana Gomez.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Adriana Gomez, and I've been employed by the district for 10 years in a couple of different roles. 7 years as the assistant to the director of student services at the district office, and the last 3 as a wellness counselor in the therapeutic elective class at Burlingame High School. As our director, April Torres, reports to this board every year, our mental health therapists more than prove our worth without fail. While we appreciate the accolades we receive for what we do, it is not enough and it is not our why, as Superintendent Booker encouraged us to reflect on in his first year. We do this work for the good of our students and our communities. This work could not be done as well as it is without our clinical supervisor and the modality in which our supervision is currently offered, completely remotely. In therapeutic classrooms, students have individualized needs that require tailored support. A small group of us provides that care, and clinical supervision is essential to ensure we're equipped and grounded to do so effectively. With the proposed change, associate therapists may struggle to address the unique needs of their students, which could impact their well-being and raise legal and ethical concerns regarding the quality of care. This undermines the therapeutic environment and the overall support we strive to provide. In addition to supporting crises related to suicidality or self-harm at any given time, we may also be balancing a CPS report, child exploitation concerns, having contact with probation officers, and many other outside agencies and supports that just one of our students may have contact with. Our clinical supervisor helps us immediately navigate these high-stress situations, many of which go beyond a single moment, to determine the safest next steps for our students. Historically, as classified staff and as wellness counselors, we've often felt overlooked and undervalued within this system. We are expected to do much, and truthfully, as a collective group, we ask the board and our superintendents for so little. However, over the last several years, morale within our team has become increasingly poor and turnover has been quite high. We have experienced so much disrespect as a program, and we have collectively felt that this decision is the final straw. With all due respect, the posting of this position without any collaboration with our department management or any or input from anyone whom this directly affects was premature, thoughtless, and irresponsible. This was not a student-centered decision, and truthfully, no consideration was made for the impact on your staff. This situation has been very messy and has only served to exponentially increase the stress imposed on those of us who rely on our supervision as is. As mentioned earlier, since learning that this position was posted without the support of our director, our team, alongside with our CSEA representatives, has made multiple attempts to meet with Mr. Booker and Dr. Black since January 31st. Despite our efforts, we haven't been granted the basic professional courtesy of a conversation to share our concerns as the very people most directly impacted by this decision. The day-to-day responsibilities and complexities of this role are details that respectfully only our director, associate manager, and clinical supervisor truly understand. Most district leaders are not familiar with the nuances of this position and should not be making decisions in silence without consultation with those directly involved. In closing, I urge the board to recognize the value of maintaining the clinical supervision model that has worked effectively for the past 5 years. This model was developed based on our needs as staff, and the location of our supervisor has never been an issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any online comments?
There is one hand raised.
Okay.
I'll be promoting Shannon Boone.
No. Hello.
Okay, you may go ahead.
Good evening, board members. My name is Shannon Poon, and I'm a junior at Aragon High School and a member of YCA, Youth Climate Ambassador. I'm here today because I care about our planet, and I know our district does too. But looking at the SMUHSD energy breakdown, I want to raise a major concern: our heavy reliance on methane gas as an energy source. According to the district's own data, over 500,000 therms of methane gas were used in just one school year. That's equivalent to nearly 15 million kilowatt hours of energy. While electricity usage sits at around 7.9 million kWh, methane gas remains as the dominant energy source in colder months, especially between November and March. This is a problem. Methane is one of the most powerful greenhouse gases, 84 times more potent than carbon dioxide in the short term. It traps heat in the atmosphere and accelerates climate change. By continuing hazardous use of gas-powered heaters and water heaters, we are contributing to the very crisis we're trying to educate our generation to solve. We must act. Our district has the power and the responsibility to lead. That means transitioning school buildings toward full electrification, investing in electric heat pumps, and cutting our dependence on methane gas. This isn't just about numbers on the graph. It's about aligning our practices with our values and preparing for a sustainable future. I urge the board to take action to reduce methane use across all campuses and to commit clean energy solutions that will benefit students now and for decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Appreciate everybody's comments this evening. Thank you. Communications to the Board of Trustees, Superintendent Booker.
None this evening.
Okay. Recognitions.
Yes, this evening we've got the Burlingame High School robotics team. They finished in first place out of over 40 teams at the Arizona Regional Competition on March 19th through 22nd. They've qualified also for the World Championships, and I'd like to introduce and invite the robotics team coach, Christina Wade, to the podium to help us celebrate. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Christina Wade. Thank you so much for inviting us tonight. Most of our team is at our Redwood City practice field right now, packing up our robot so we can ship it tomorrow on a semi-truck to Houston. So these were the only people that I could grab, and we're going right back after to Redwood City. So I just want to introduce who I brought with me tonight. Very honored to introduce our co-captains, Zach Weinberg and Serena Koopmans, sorry. And one of our new mentors, Chris Whitmer. I always say it wrong. Anyway, I'm going to have them talk about our team because it's a student-run team, which means I don't really talk that much, even though I love to talk. I'm going to let them talk. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Wade. As she said, I'm Zach Weinberg. I'm a senior at Burlingame High School and one of the co-captains on our team. So we are the Burlingame High School robotics team, the Iron Panthers. We're the largest student-run organization on the BHS campus, and we compete in the first robotics competition with over 3,500 teams worldwide. We are the 2019 World Champions and hopefully the 2025 World Champions when we compete in Houston, Texas next week.
Yeah, so as part of the first Robotics Challenge League, we receive a new competition every year. And so in January, we received a new challenge and we've gone to 2 competitions so far. At the Ventura County Regional in Southern California, we won the Autonomous Award for our amazing programming skills, and we ranked incredibly high. And then 2 weeks ago, we went to Arizona where we were first from qualification matches, won the Engineering Inspiration Award for our work with STEM outreach in our community, and also qualified for the World Champions, which we're going to next week. So we're incredibly excited, and we just wanted to say thank you so much for the district support.
Thank you all for having us, and we would love to continue talking more about how the district can support robotics, not just our robotics team, but teams at Mills and Aragon High Schools. We'd love to, once we return from the championships, have further discussion. I believe also some videos of our team will be sent out. We were unfortunately not able to put them on slides during this meeting. Thank you.
Well, we want to congratulate you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Good luck.
Wish you, yeah.
Yeah.
Wish you the best there.
Pack the robots. You guys are awesome.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna move on to, and they're gonna rush back to Redwood City. Probably got a forklift loading that robot on that big rig, huh?
And they're going to help out their partner district, middle school. So yes. All right.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. Does any trustee wish to pull an item, or is there a motion?
I move to approve if there is no discussion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments? Any comments by the board? Any comments online?
There are none.
Okay. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Student board members? Okay, special reports and appearances. Superintendent Booker.
Thank you. So this evening, we've got Charlie Royce, our Director of Facilities and Construction, joined by, excuse me. Gosh.
Miss Erica
Um,
Lyons.
Yes, thank you. To give the presentation, presentation of the 2023-2024 Measure O and L Citizens Oversight Committee Annual Report and the 23-24 Measure O and L Annual Financial and Performance Audit. That's a mouthful, and I hand it over to Mr. Royce.
And I'll say the same mouthful.
Thank you.
I'm really pleased to introduce Erica Lyons. She's one of our committee members for our Citizens Oversight, our amazing Citizens Oversight Committee, who we rely on to make sure that we are spending our bond money correctly. And so she's here to submit for your acceptance the 2003-2004 Measure O and L Citizens Oversight Committee Annual Report and the 2023 and 2024 Measure O and L Annual Financial and Performance Audit.
Thank you, Mr. Charlie. So hi, everybody. I'm Erica Lyons. Been here a couple of times before. Just want to say I'm here on behalf of our fun yet hardworking Citizens Oversight Committee. I think it's a mouthful. Yes, Randall. You should read the thing. It makes your head hurt. Yeah, I think everything was just scrambled after that. So if you're unaware, our Citizens Oversight Committee, the most important responsibility is to make sure that the expenditures with bonds are in accordance to what our voters approved, you know? And so far, since I've been here, it's my 4th year, so good. We review the financial data, which makes our heads hurt. And sometimes we even find that pages are out of order. I mean, that's how detailed our people get. So we also accept the financial performance and the audit review. That's the thing that really makes our heads hurt. The fun that we usually have is on the project visits, which the last couple of years is actually centered around my birthday. So I've had a really good time. It's like the kickoff for my birthday. So it usually involves food or something. We do review change orders, and we also create and distribute the annual report on the bonds program for all of you. So here tonight to present the annual report for Measure O and Measure L. And you should have a copy. We're overjoyed to present it. And so in that, you'll see the summary of our activities, the financial summaries, and project updates. Other information the committee has deemed important for our constituents to have here in San Mateo Union High School District. And also included as an attachment to the annual report is the financial and the performance audit report. And once again, we didn't find anything out of the ordinary. So as a former parent in this district, it's my 1st year not being here. But it's what I, as a taxpayer in your district, would expect. And so everything's all status quo. So thanks for having us. And any questions?
I think it's important that for the record, we read the bottom paragraph aloud of the Citizens Oversight Committee memo to the board dated March 25th. And if you'll allow me, it reads, based upon information presented to the committee by district staff, as well as the committee's ongoing oversight activities and the review of the independent financial and performance audits, the committee believes the district is in compliance with the requirements of Article 13A, Section 1B3 of the California Constitution. Article 13A, Section 1B3 outlines accountability requirements for school districts that incur bonded indebtedness under Prop 39. And with the presentation of this annual report, the members of the committee believe that the Measure O and Measure L bond funds have been properly expended and have been utilized for projects consistent with those identified in the bond measures.
Okay, I don't know if anybody else wants to speak, but since I'm, okay, Trustee Andrade.
No, go ahead. If you're
No, I was just gonna thank them.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed going to those meetings. It's hard work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of detail. The food does not make up for the hard work.
I will agree with that. Yes.
I mean, I as much as I enjoy the meetings, I think there's a lot of camaraderie that develops going through those late nights and kind of listening to that auditor drone on about, his procedures. But we appreciate your work. The public does too, because, you're certainly one of the controls and helping to keep us accountable to everyone about, showing good stewardship over these bond proceeds and the tax dollars. So thank you. Trustee Andrade Zuniga.
Thank you. I echo everything Trustee Griffin had said. But most of all, I mean, our volunteers, our parents that sit on this committee as well. Thank you, Ms. Lyons. I mean, really, you could spend your time doing other things, but you're here and serving our district. So thank you. And Mr. Royce, always thank you for everything you do.
Please say hi to
Thank you.
Simon for me, for us as well, because he's been there for a while too.
Yeah.
And he does a great job.
He
So
does a
thank you
great job.
all.
I was gonna say something real quick. I didn't want to interrupt though, were you? Are you done? Okay. I want to say thank you. I attended many meetings and I'm on the committee, not as a voting member of the committee, but that's the committee that I'm assigned to. And I asked to be assigned to that because we have so much fun. However, a lot of it, just like Trustee Griffin said, you're digging into details, numbers, and this group loves numbers, and they dedicate hours and hours to combing through the numbers, and they're really dedicated. And Erica, we're just really grateful that you've been on the committee for 4 years. You said that's and other members have been there for a few years as well. So it's really a great group, and I hope the continuity continues. I know, don't say she could be doing other things, because we want Erica and everybody else on the committee to keep coming to the meetings.
Not going anywhere. I got
Okay,
I got to
great.
keep a little toe in the water because I really love what this district did for my kids. So I'm a
Right.
proud Panther graduate and Bearcat
Awesome.
graduate mom. So we were house divided.
Right.
It was
Right.
wow. Cal Stanford.
Right,
So,
no,
you
right.
know, and I want to continue to see it grow.
And I also want to say we have so much fun on our field trips. We've gone to see, after the gymnasiums were demolished, we've also gone to see what the field looks like before it's built. Build it and they will come, and that's exactly what our group did. I mean, our group didn't build it, but oversaw the financials. But I'm just saying that the district built amazing new facilities, and this group oversaw it. And I don't know, I don't want to give a spoiler alert, but you might see a picture here and there when myself and Erica Lyons were on a tractor, but that was at the groundbreaking event.
Wait, you take pictures?
Yes,
for
we
the
did.
ribbon cutting.
Ribbon cutting, yes. And Mr. Hawkins was taking pictures, and he said he was just joking with us, but it was a great time. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to say, but I want to thank you for presenting. And
Okay, well, just check in the event somebody else may have something to say, so.
Thank you.
Okay, well, appreciate your work. Thank you very much. Okay, this is action.
There is an action.
Yeah, this is an action item. Are there any public comments before we?
There are none.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the report?
I make to make the motion to accept the report.
Trustee Land left you in the starting
Oh.
block. He had the motion in the second.
No,
No,
I'll second that. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Student board members?
Aye.
Thank you.
We're excited. That's all.
Yeah, we're excited.
Okay, item
This is good
2,
work.
Career Tech Ed, Education Program and Policy Update and Discussion.
Right, good evening. Just going to launch this presentation. We're here tonight to provide an update on the career technical education programs in our district, focusing on current status, our strengths, some of the challenges and opportunities for future growth aligned with our state priorities. And just as an overview, we'll talk about what a high-quality career technical education program elements look like, review the current state of the San Mateo CTE programs, discuss implications of current graduation requirement, and then consider some opportunities to evolve policies aligned with the college and career indicator. And really, I'm going to pass the majority of this presentation over to Mr. Simmons, who's going to take us through the meat of it. Sorry. Gotta put your mic.
Oh, got to turn on.
Is it?
Oh, there you go.
Red is
You got
on.
it.
Or
Red.
red is on. It's not like I haven't done this before, but whatever. So good evening. Yeah, I'm here to talk about CTE and sort of some outcomes and all the things that Dr. Kemke spoke to. So I'm going to start by talking a little bit about what a high quality CTE program is, right? Because that's really evolved over the years from back in the day when, some of us went to school and we called it vocational education, right? So a high quality CTE program is defined by several key features. Including a rigorous curriculum, first and foremost, progressing clearly from introductory courses called concentrators, so officially they're called concentrator courses, to advanced career-specific capstone courses, right? Effective programs provide students with real-world experience, such as internships and job shadowing, or even just exposure by taking students out to a job site. They often now offer dual enrollment opportunities that allow students to earn college credits while in high school. And ultimately, they enable students to obtain industry-recognized certifications. Importantly, high-quality CTE programs emphasize equitable access, ensuring that all students, regardless of their background, have meaningful opportunities to participate across the pathways. So those are sort of and again, there's sort of details on this screen here, but I think the big idea that I would sort of encourage you to think about as you're thinking about career technical education is what is the vision we have for our students for the future, right? Because the future is murky, right? Technology and lots of other things are making the future murky, but what are the kinds of experiences you want to make sure that we're providing to our students that support them in their futures? Currently, our district mandates, and so I'm going to move into sort of, where we are and how we got here. So currently, our district mandates elective graduation requirements in 3 areas, right? Visual and performing arts, VAPA as it's often referred to, CTE or career technical education, and world language. Those are all sort of what we call electives, right? And the UC CSU system calls those electives as well. Because students have choices inside those, right? As opposed to you have to take English, you have to take math, right? In these subjects, you can elect to take whichever ones you want to take. This structure, while intended to provide broad exposure, this structure limits deeper engagement in career-focused pathways. Although these electives help many students fulfill the UC-CSU requirements, again, to remind you all from back in January when I talked to you all about the CCI, about 65% of our students meet the college and career indicator, and 90% of those students meet it through the A to G requirements. So although these electives may help students fulfill those requirements, pathway completion rates remain low, highlighting a critical gap between program participation and meaningful career readiness, because we're really only having students take one class, right? One 10-unit course in CTE that in particular.
Can we slow down just a little bit, please?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
I will speak more slowly.
Actually, I'm enjoying that, but
One significant challenge, so I'm going to sort of talk about some challenges now that are created by our current circumstance. One of those is that despite over 90% of students enrolling in a CTE course, and we're going to talk a little bit about why it's only 90, right? If it's a graduation requirement, why are only 90% of students actually fulfilling the requirement? But we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. Fewer than 20% of students of those 90% who complete that first class ultimately complete a full CTE pathway, right? So many of the students just take that first class and then they do other things. And this often the delayed enrollment that students who often delayed enrollment in these classes is a big part of this problem, because often our students take their CTE classes in the 11th and 12th grade when we look at sort of course taking norms. And some of that is because we sort of have this never-ending self-fulfilling prophecy, because basically students put off taking the class until 11th and 12th grade. Then, therefore, there are only so many seats for students to take those classes. So we literally have had the experience, I've spoken to the folks over at San Mateo in particular, they could not provide a second-year foods class because they didn't have enough seats to provide a second-year class, because there were so many seniors who needed to fulfill the requirement, they could only provide the first-year class. This is a problem. So historical data confirms this low completion trend. So I'm going to be looking right now at specifically the class of 2024, but then I've got a slide in here about the previous 3 years as well. There is this sort of structural and policy change may be necessary to enhance student success. What you'll see here is that you've got, this is one of our pathways, engineering and architecture. First of all, it doesn't exist at all of our schools, which is okay. We're going to have different programs at different schools. These particular courses are at Aragon, Burlingame, and Mills is where we have these particular pathways.
But what you see here is not a sort of even distribution. If you look at the memo, I actually have in the memo the actual the percentages of the student population across the district, and we don't have representation across the different student populations, right? Across these different pathways. So this is our architecture and engineering pathway. This is our arts, media, and entertainment pathway, which is our largest pathway. But again, so as it currently stands, just as an example, in any given year, there are probably about 1,700 students taking digital media in the district. And these are the numbers of kids who complete in the class of 2022, 23, 24. This is biotech. So we have biotech at San Mateo, Aragon, and Mills. Again, you see, and again, we've had real also differences in the number of completers across the years, but in general, a relatively low number overall. And certainly the same kinds of discrepancies in outcomes in terms of participation and ultimately in completion among the various subgroups of students. Just to be really clear, the blue on the bottom is intentional because those students are duplicated essentially, right? A student who is maybe a multilingual learner also might be Latino. So that's why I sort of made that blue on the bottom to make sort of distinguish the data in white is actually one set of data. The data on the bottom is a separate set of data, and there could be some duplicates among this data. Culinary arts, which again is our second largest program in the district. We have, significant numbers of students taking these courses, but again, not a lot of, and we've had some improvements there, right? Some increases in the completion there, but overall still relatively low numbers of students completing. Computer science is sort of the messiest of our pathways because in many ways, many more students take AP Computer Science C, which is the AP Computer Science, it's sort of coding class that many of our students take and then they take the test. That's actually seen by the state as a capstone class. So many of our students jump straight to that class because it's an AP class. They don't actually take the introductory class. We have an AP Computer Science, Introduction to AP Computer Science at every school site. I apologize, translators. I will slow down again. At least I was self-aware enough to say it this time. And so AP Computer Science, or Computer Science in particular, both has these, significant discrepancies in terms of student participation, right? You see these real differences in equity of access. But in addition, students really don't finish that pathway because they more often than not are just taking that one AP Computer Science class and moving on about their business to take other things, other AP classes more often than not. So that's sort of the big issue of completion rates and kind of the things that are impacting them. I think that we're going to move on to kind of issues of access. And so this is and I'm not going to go through all these slides again, but basically a significant number of students receive waivers from the CTE requirements, especially at certain school sites. These waivers highlight the limited availability of attractive and relevant CTE options for all students, and that further exacerbates our inequitable access issues. I would say so we have sort of two things, right? One is we don't have equitable participation across the pathways, and we don't have access. In particular, at our two schools, at the southern and northernmost end of the district, those two schools have the most constrained supply of any electives, period. But you'll see in the data in the memo, and I'm going to show you in a minute, that they have the highest number of waivers or exemptions from the requirement at those school sites. So it's not surprising, right, that schools with the least number of options have situations where students need to be exempted from the requirement. More often than not, the exemptions come from things like students who transfer, students who have other constraints on their schedule where it's sort of determined at the school site level with the individual student that it's just not sort of worth that student taking that class. So we exempt them. That is what the administrative regulation allows, is there to be some flexibility at the school level. So I'm going to jump through these slides just because I don't want to take too much time. I'd rather hear from you all. The other issue that's part of this is one of the things that was the unintended consequence of our creation of this requirement was that, and again, if you remember back to my first slide about what is a high-quality CTE program, high-quality CTE program has a credentialed teacher and you have a 2-year pathway. All the classes that are here are classes that they don't have a CTE credentialed teacher, but we've determined through history, legacy, seems like could be a CTE class, that will allow that class to be a CTE class. Some of these are dual enrollment college courses, so you'll see some like a college academic success, and there's a few dual enrollment college classes In particular, you see that happening at Hillsdale. They have a lot of dual enrollment, which is great. They have lots of dual enrollment options, but that has sort of become their de facto sort of CTE program to some extent. And then at Cappuccino, you just have an incredibly low supply. And honestly, Skyline has not been the best at providing a lot of dual enrollment options. And even when they've done that, some of those classes have literally vaporized in the middle of the school year. So this is all to say, meaning the teacher just sort of quit or something, and we had to figure out where the students would go. It was sort of a mess. And so we're, and yet we've created these conditions because, and so again, you've got basically 719 students in the fall of this year taking classes that don't meet the high quality CTE requirement or sort of expectations. Again, and this was all done with good intent, right? People in the district were like, well, we don't have enough classes. Let's create something. So things like journalism. Journalism is sort of my favorite example. All of our schools have newspapers. Is journalism a vocation? Yes. Are they teaching the CTE standards? No, not really, because they're producing a newspaper every week. And yes, could you argue that I'm sure on occasion does the teacher talk about what it might be to be a real journalist in the real world and how you have to do whatever you have to do to be a journalist? Sure, but it's not the same as our core CTE, our 5 pathways. They do very intentioned, specific work on products like resumes and cover letters, and even lately using AI in different ways. And so we're really beginning to see teachers leverage, I mean, in those classes, they really intentionally think about career readiness. In our other classes, it's hit or miss whether or not students are getting those things. And this is just another slide about sort of the inequities, I think, of sort of the non-CTE course pathway or course takers. These are sort of non-real CTE, if you will. So I'm going to move to the third challenge because I want to make sure to give you time to talk. I just have to move my slides here. So in addition to all this, and this is somewhat related to what I was just talking about, credentialing and funding pose substantial challenges to us. Currently, only 26 of our 61 teachers hold valid CTE credentials in the district. Actually, it's 28. I apologize. I had to revise it a little bit. We found there was an error in the data, but the 28 teachers of 60, but still 61 sort of specific classes. So that significantly restricts our eligibility for state funding. The more we invest, so this is the other thing you should know about funding from the state. There's a lot of it actually in CTE, but it always requires matching funds. And so the more you have to put into the bucket, so we actually as a district, we are qualified for many more resources than many districts because we have so many qualified CTE teachers. But if you imagine all of those teachers, all 61 of them having CTE credentials, we could get lots more money from the state because it's usually like a 2-to-1 match. We have $2, they give us $1. And so that's how we've been able to leverage as many grants as we have. So expanding the number of credentialed teachers or refining our criteria for what courses receive CTE credit would not only unlock this additional state resource, but it also would significantly enhance the quality and consistency of our program, obviously. So this is the specifics about our teachers and sort of their distribution. I shall say there's some people who are actually double counted on here because they actually have multiple CTE credentials. So for example, I know at Cappuccino, there's a teacher who's a ceramics teacher, who's an arts, media, and entertainment teacher, and they have a business credential. So for example, but actually we don't have any business classes yet at Cappuccino, but we're working on that. Moreover, there are critical gaps in our offerings in high-demand career fields, such as healthcare, trades, business, and automotive industries, right? And we've talked a little bit about this, I think, in the past. Students certainly have expressed strong interest in these areas, and actually, Ms. Veit just was recently sharing with us a survey of multilingual learners, and the top 2 areas of interest among that group of students was business and healthcare careers. And yet, our current course availability and work-based learning opportunities are just insufficient. Addressing these gaps would involve strategic program expansion to align more closely with the regional labor market, because that's the other piece of a strong CTE program, is that you're paying attention to what your regional economy needs, not just sort of what you might provide to kids. And so we do pay attention, and there's an element of our grant writing that involves us really looking at labor market trends and making some investments. The challenge is that it's difficult to pivot as a school district where we have labor commitments and other commitments. It's hard to just all of a sudden decide we're going to do something else. And so that's partly why I think refining our program to a much more targeted and focused program would allow us some ability to actually expand some programs. So as we explore, I'm going to now kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about a potential way out, or maybe a different way of thinking about what our requirements might be. So as we explore these possible solutions, the state's College and Career Indicator offers a promising framework for potentially evaluating and enhancing student readiness. So, and I've talked to you all about the CCI many times before. The CCI considers multiple readiness indicators, including A to G completion, dual enrollment, but specifically CTE pathway completion, industry certifications, and work-based learning experiences as ways to meet that criteria, right? To say to students and the public and future employers, this student is ready for their future. And so, just as a quick reminder, the class of 2024 showed some progress. We saw some improvement, right? I showed this to you all back in January, which feels like a few years ago now. But overall, we saw some bright spots, including improvements among African American, Filipino, and white students. But to me, the problem can persist that that number's been pretty solid, around 65 to 70 every year since it's existed. We had a little bit of a period where there wasn't a CCI because of the pandemic. But when we clearly have these areas for significant growth where we have differentials in student outcomes. So moving forward, we propose exploring some adjustments to our graduation requirements to align more deliberately with this CCI framework. Such a shift would encourage depth rather than breadth, ensuring greater equity and significantly strengthening students' readiness for college, career, and life beyond high school. So in conclusion, our district remains deeply committed to providing robust and equitable CTE opportunities for our students. I don't think no one debates that. I think we look forward to receiving the board's feedback and collaborating closely with stakeholders, including certainly our CTE faculty, the administration of every school, and community partners as we consider evolving our graduation requirements to align with these state indicators, making college and career preparation really co-equal priorities, right? For the first time for real. And so thank you, and we welcome your questions and comments.
Thank you. Trustee Land.
So wonderful. I'm really glad you brought a lot of the points through. Going to my own middle school CTE experience and trying to figure out, I get the credentialing problem. I think that's worthy of a discussion, because how do you get this high interest careers that people want and get a teacher who's credentialed to be able to do that? That becomes a hard situation. I think you had my input and my advice on that, or I want to hear about, is how can we engage community partners more? I mean, we talk about the trades, we talk about trying to get people to help out. I mean, that was one of the reports that we had a couple days, a couple weeks ago. We have to do a better job of that. And I think, again, it goes to thinking outside the box. It's not just saying, okay, here's our credentialed people, what can we do with what we've got? It's got to go beyond that, which means that's tough, because that's money, because that's saying it goes outside of FTEs. And so if this is a serious discussion, we have to take into account, what are we doing with CTE and how are we funding it outside of what we're funding? My other thing, so that's a discussion I'm hoping we can bring out. The second one is my concern about how students are taking classes, because what you said was everybody starts thinking about the fun classes junior and senior year. And I don't mean it I'm not trying to be flippant, but what you said was basically they don't think about it till junior and senior year. And I'm really curious as to why, because in the middle school, we use electives as a motivator, as an engagement, choice. Like, hey, elementary school, you never got to choose something. Now you get to choose, and this is your interest. It sounds like there's not a lot of choice, and I have a funny feeling it has to do with A through G or all the requirements that are done. So you have this limited choice of what you can take. So I'm wondering, those are two very difficult questions that I would love to hear something about, all of us. That's my thoughts.
Can I just quickly say one quick thing?
Yeah.
In response, just make sure you know, we do also have, and you all have supported this, a $5,000 inducement to get our teachers to get CTE credentials. We get some folks taking us up on that. It's a lot, because there's a lot of effort to doing it, but we do have it as an incentive program that we use CTE resources to support. So that's one way. I will say we're struggling with getting high quality career changers. That's a challenge, right? People think teaching is easy. It's really hard. And I think career changers, we've had some struggles with. So I think, and yet this is the place where you kind of want career changers. It's just like finding the unicorns, as we often talk about them, right? So, yeah.
But thank you. I believe it was a great report, and I really appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments?
I just have a comment or a question, excuse me. So historically, CTE has been used to primarily push brown and black students into just like pigeonholed education. Clearly our district is not that way. How have you changed the perception in the community of CTE being, a good thing, that people aren't getting pushed in, that there is option? And then I guess my second question is, to what Trustee Land was saying, in terms of partnering with the community, could we even like tap into our city councils? Maybe they have folks that they work with as well. Could we tap into like places that we just haven't thought of? I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in many of the educators in this at the dais here could speak to this. I think we've been challenged as an institution with regard to our sort of schizophrenia with regard to career and technical education, right? We did some things that were not great around store housing in particular. You could predict who was going to be in those good with your hands classes, right? And I think we as an institution have really pushed A to G, right? Kind of college for all, right? And that's really been kind of the mantra for at least the last 20 years with, there were some assembly bills that funded a lot of initiatives around that. And I think, and of course, everybody's now like, well, that pendulum clearly swung too far one way, right? We did, and at the same time, in 2010, we raised up many of the ROP centers in the state, certainly in our region, right? That this is the opportunity programs that used to exist. There were regional occupation centers that, would allow for districts to share a common space. And so the state, I think, sees, so in some places that didn't happen, right? In some parts of the state, they still have those. But I think the state sees the community colleges now as sort of the 21st century ROP. I think the question is, and I think this is going to be one of the open questions for all of us around your issue of racialized patterns of course taking. It's, the requirement creates heterogeneity because everybody has to do it, right? When you start to say, well, some of you can choose different options, there is a sort of issue that we're going to have to really think about. And I wonder what will happen. And I think it's one of the things I take very soberly. I think we've talked about it, that is one of the things we got to pay attention to. If we were to move in some direction where not everybody has to do something, you could see like students starting to take certain kinds of classes.
But
And
even seeing your data, I mean, there's some classes that are chosen over others. I mean, that's just what it is, right? Depending on what's of interest in this area. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it too. I mean, I think one of the things I'll lastly just quickly say is that we've never really tried to build from the beginning of a student's experience. We've done this in A to G kind of completion. I would say our AVID programs at the 4 schools that have AVID really are thinking about from year 9 through year 12, how do you help a historically underrepresented student get to 4-year college? We have a program for that, right? We've never really sort of said, okay, how do you build something where a student might actually get 12 units of community college credit in a CTE pathway by the time they get out of high school? And that's what these new grants that we have, which I put into some weeklies previously, that's their intention, is that they would actually, we're trying to, so we're going to spend a year for the next year figuring out like what kinds of interventions, what kinds of supports. Because if you want to do business, it's great to sort of get involved in some kind of social media thing. But at some point you need to take calculus probably if you want to get an MBA, right? So we've got to figure, so the key is how do we help students, and we'll talk a little bit about math actually next week that may have some implications for what we're talking about in 2 weeks. But my point is, I think we're trying to sort of build from the ground up a co-equal career readiness program using this business and healthcare careers pathways as like our incubator for figuring out what that looks like. Just so you know, that's what we're doing to try to build a co-equal A to G pathway, if you will.
Other questions or Trustee Chavez? Oh, sorry, student board member. Sorry.
That's all right. Great to see you again, Mr. Simmons. You were here at our last board meeting to talk about AI, and now you're here for CTE. So it definitely makes sense that you're really into students and their well-being. Thank you so much for that.
That was very nice of you to say. Thank you.
So overall, you said that CTE classes or elective classes in general, students tend to take in their final years of high school. And I'd say that's true, but that's only because we do not have a choice. Because in freshman year, we just have one class that we can take in CTE, And most people, they want sports, they take seventh period not at school. Done. They don't really take extracurricular, electives because they're doing extracurriculars. And then same for sophomore year. You have 2 classes, I think, that
Right.
you can take for electives. But then again, you might have sports, you might have extracurriculars. It's only in junior and senior year that when PE is cut off and some other classes like, I don't know, foreign languages, that criteria is met based on the 830 requirement that we have the opportunity to take more classes. And then, like I said, that causes like not enough space in the classes, and then students in freshman year who are like, I love cooking, I want to take food and nutrition, not a spot. That makes sense because freshman year, I'd say I'm a STEM fielder. So I want to take computer science here, but only really few computer science, like freshmen get into computer science. Like it's either about like 3, I think I knew 2, 3 people who got into computer science. Yeah, and personally, I think having more opportunities like different classes that can actually prepare us for our future would be really helpful. We do have dual enrollment. Johnny here is in middle college, and that's great because we have intro to business classes and intro to engineering classes that could help us. And I would also say one more thing that these classes, like I said, they shouldn't be like too broad but specific. And that's right, because back in India, because I moved here in like 7th, 8th grade, we had like really in-depth classes. I struggled at tests, but I did pretty well. I did really well. I was a topper. And then they would give us like a million terms in this thick science textbook. We had to memorize them. They would make us understand the topic, but most likely it was a lot of memorization. At that point, I'm like, why am I learning this? But then once I came here and I had science classes, I could just breeze through those courses. Because I'm like, okay, it hurt back then. I could not memorize a single thing, but now I'm doing great. And I do not regret having such like harsh work. So I'm saying that if these classes actually interest the students, they won't mind if it's hard. If they like it, they'll do it. And yeah, it is true. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Trustee Chavez.
Well, I don't have anything as interesting as that, but I want to thank you for your comment. That was great. I want to thank you for the presentation, Brian. It's always amazing. And you're absolutely right. He loves to help students advance here. I just wanted to comment on the number of class offerings at the different school sites. I know that all school sites don't have the same offerings, and we know that we have different credentialed staff by site. So some schools have 5 credentials, some might have 7 or 3, but we still offer something with non-credentialed staff, right? Right. And I think, yeah, I would just like to make sure that we're offering something like, I don't know, architecture or something at all school sites. I actually met the architecture teacher at Mills during open house, so I was really impressed with that. CAD and architecture. I don't know, is that the only school site that has that?
They have it at Burlingame.
Oh, Birmingham. Okay, okay. So like, you know,
But
so
2 awesome teachers, yes.
right. So 2 awesome teachers and 2 awesome school sites. But we have other school sites too that could have somebody equally as awesome. And so so to your point, my daughter, my oldest daughter, she graduated last year and she was she was a senior last year, so that makes sense. It's late. I don't know, I'm tired. And she took an elective, foods, right? Cooking. And she did say that there were a lot of different grade levels in there. I mean, not a lot, but you know, well, the maximum is 4, right? So I don't know why I'm saying this. So I think to your point though, she's a senior, her friend was a senior, they had other seniors in the class. So I think folks do wait until junior or senior to take an elective, but I would really like to see electives being offered to all, like you said, freshmen and sophomore. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
the question is, how can we encourage
Yeah.
through counseling or whatever, or 4-year planning in advance?
Yeah.
How you can map it out.
Yeah,
The career,
right.
so they have those options.
Yeah.
You
Well-
know, that's a counseling question.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that's the meat and potatoes, right? That's going to take some work and some strategy with our partners, with our teachers. I think what we're presenting tonight and looking for feedback on is there was a graduation requirement issued a number of years ago. I would maybe argue, and I think our memo and presentation argues, that it's maybe not producing the outcomes that
Yeah.
the board intended,
Right.
or that we that board intended or that this governance team intends. And that's not saying it's terrible. I'm not being critical. I'm just saying that I think there could be some growth. And before we start going down that path and working with our colleagues, I want to make sure, because this is a board policy, I want to make sure the board is supportive of us exploring more depth rather than breadth.
So
Right.
let's act on that. So you're asking maybe that policy. So what changes are you concerning that should be changed with the CTE policy?
Yeah, I don't know if I have the details, and I think that would be almost putting the cart before the horse, because we haven't sat down with the CTE colleagues and community college and principals and all of that. But before I go and invest the resources and time to do that kind of work, I wanted to get a sense from the governance team as to how you're feeling about our current program and where you see it wanting to go. And then our job, it's kind of like that balcony dance floor thing that we talked about last year. Our job is to get on the dance floor and start dancing, make it work to the direction that the governance team wants to see.
One of the problems seem to be also that it's hard to find teachers.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
It's twofold, right? It's teachers, it's how do you make it, so the students will map out their courses appropriately. And then I don't know, there's other variables.
I think one of the variables is what courses are offered at each school site. And now we're going to let Trustee Jacobson speak next. That's my take on it, Brian, is that, I mean, that's not just my take on it, but that's not the only thing. But one of my main concerns is making sure that we have the CT courses offered, for a variety of courses offered at all of our school sites, kind of equitably.
Okay, while we are having this fireside chat, I'll call on Trustee Jacobson.
Oh, thanks. I mean, I could have jumped
Jumping
in
like the rest
They
of
were
us did.
moving
Yep.
too fast.
It was hard.
I couldn't even jump in.
No. Well, I really thoroughly enjoyed the presentation and the memo. It was very well done. I think your analysis is very compelling as to what the issues are with the requirement, that it's not aligned with the stated goals and what CTE is, what we want it to be for our students. So what else do I want? I have a couple of questions. One, so noting that it's the northernmost and southernmost schools that have the fewer options, those are also the schools that are closer to Skyline and CSM. I don't know how impacted those CSM and Skyline are as far as access to our high school students. If they wanted to take classes there, is that, or if we wanted to pursue more, what's the word? I don't know, collaboration, articulation with those particular sites, do we have a sense of how willing they would be to take on more of our high school students?
So I'll just quickly answer that question to
Okay.
the extent that I can. I mean, I think they would want them to speak for themselves to some extent, but I think
Yeah.
our experience is that, I mean, I think CSM in particular is already providing about 8 sections of coursework at Hillsdale. So they're already coming down and providing professors. We have faculty at, we have college faculty from CSM at Hillsdale, Aragon, Burlingame. I don't think we have anybody at San Mateo at the moment, but Skyline has gone through a lot of leadership transitions and they've really struggled. So principally and I will say we also have our own faculty. So I think we have a dual strategy in place on purpose, right? We want to always value and also honor our labor partners in this whole experience. And we want to make sure that folks are on board with us as we expand our offerings. And the CTE credential in many of the areas allows our faculty to meet the minimum qualifications for community college teaching in a way that normally you have to have a master's degree to teach at a community college. You got to have a master's in business or whatever. So we actually just hired our first business instructor who has a master's in business administration, who's teaching also for CSM. He's our lead for our new business pathway development. So What I'll say is, I think, yes, there's really a possibility here. I will say at the same time, like, we literally just in the last few days have heard that they're kind of limited in their number of options at the community college. So I really do think this is something for us to roll up our sleeves and lean in on and find the faculty to hire for ourselves. I don't see the college, their reaction to dual enrollment has been messy at the college. I think for a variety of reasons, but I think it's been messy from the perspective of there's some concerns up there about sort of losing jobs and turf and all that sort of stuff that I think they're concerned about. So I'm saying that to say,
Yeah.
I think it's better to go our own way. Is my experience that we found the most effective college teaching has been our teachers, who are those teachers, right? We like the architecture teacher we just talked about. Both of those teachers are college faculty. Literally, Elena was a community college faculty before she came to our district. So I think that's the right approach for the most part. I think, yeah, they can fill in some gaps, but I actually think, because again, you got to be good with teaching high school kids. They're not college. They're not sort of, 20-year-olds. They're 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds. So I think there's an argument to be made that our teachers might be the best at doing that.
Okay. That's
And
good.
those have been some of the concerns that I've heard in the community, is that they are high school kids and they're around adults, so it's different. And so, yeah, I mean, I hear you. It's just, how do we get?
I was
Finding
just
the pipeline, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to think what are the avenues that we can explore. And then the other one is, I can't remember if I've talked about it here at the board meeting or not, but I know I've talked with Randall and Julia about it. But at the CSBA conference, I attended a workshop where they had a biotech internship program where they got, did I talk to you about this?
You might have.
Okay. You were nodding. I wasn't sure. Anyway, it was,
Because we have one of these too, but go ahead.
yeah, it was a biotech internship that they partnered with basically like some kind of biotech accelerator that's local down there in Irvine. And the high school kids, anyone from the district, it wasn't site specific because it was an online class that they took like after school hours. So in this class, they have access to a really high quality curriculum where they are learning about the industry, and not just the biotech, but they're learning about the legal issues, the getting a drug approved, all this stuff. And they have a assignment where they have to come up with a medical technology, like they're solving a real world problem. So it's this multidisciplinary, very project-based. It's awesome. And I'm just wondering if we can think about, maybe we could offer some things like that, that I know it's not traditional to not have a class during the school day at the site, but it does address the access and equity issue, having some options like that.
Did you want to add?
All I want to say is we did
meet with them. Sorry.
We
That's why I
met with
was also-
them in February, I think it
Month ago?
was.
Yeah, a month and a half
Yeah,
ago, yeah.
and you can speak to the meeting, I think, better.
I would say when we had our biotechnology lead at that meeting to talk
Oh,
with them, and we were really impressed by what they were sharing. We offer some of the similar things. One of the barriers that we found was that they're located in Southern California. And so what we did ask of them, and I don't think we got access to it, is what you were talking about seemed like the most promising was the online programming that they had. So we're going to reach out to them again because we wanted Mr. Akita, our biotechnology teacher, to take a look at the curriculum and see if it, how does it line up to what we're already doing in class. I know the one thing that they did have that he was really impressed by was an incubator that was accessible to high school students, which is not something we have in the Bay Area. So he was impressed that they had that.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
again, that would be a physical location issue, like it's in Irvine. So
Well,
our students
and
can
we have a great biotech industry here, just north
Yeah.
of us, but sorry.
And
I
we
got
have-
the look. I got the look. I love the fireside
Yeah.
chat. I'm
And
sorry.
Mr. Akita does great. He does a great summer internship program where he leverages a lot of these local biotechnology firms to work with students and have internships with them.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. So, and I'm not saying that we have to do that exact thing. I mean, I was hoping that, I mean, my thought was because it's online, because it's already established, maybe we could just,
Yeah.
but the idea of maybe having some after school options at the sites, because yeah, the site-based limitation is of a concern, but I think that there are workarounds that if you all put your heads to it, you could come up with some creative solutions for that. So, yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead.
No, no,
No,
I love.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know, you guys been,
to this
you're-
side of the room. But bottom
It should
line
be
is,
kind of an open discussion, shouldn't it?
bottom line is, I'm very supportive of the direction that you want to take this. And, oh, I know the other thing I was gonna say. When I went to the, one of the career fairs that we had, I was talking to the automotive, instructor at Skyline. And he was telling me about how when students take his class, they have to have, I asked, like, what's the like highest level of math that they need to have? Like, what's the prerequisite math? And he said that, well, algebra is it. So, and he said, but I will say that when they take this class and they see how the math is applied in this thing that they're actually interested in, then it's amazing because they connect why. So there was something in the memo where you said something about, it reinforces how those core subjects are applicable to their interests, and that drives engagement.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's going to address some of our issues with attendance, with engagement. And I feel like middle school is more of the period where you're doing the breadth and the exposure, and high school is the time where you kind of got to commit to sort of a pathway and get that depth of knowledge so that you're preparing for adult life. And when students decide earlier what their passion is, what their plan is, then they're going to, like our student over here was saying, they're going to be more committed to the coursework and put the time in because it's of relevance to them. And they, that's going to come through counseling too, is figuring out what is your plan and what are you interested in and how can we help you get there. It's just, I think it's all going to come together.
Trustee Jacobson, you have joined the rest of this crew in a runaway freight train. I appreciate that. Apparently we found a topic that everybody is interested in. And everybody gets one question, so everybody participates. We violated that to no end. We're trying to get equitable access for everybody. Trustee Land, your last question.
Exactly my last question, but going back, no, because I really like what Trustee Jacobs is talking about, and that's where the complication is. To really address the concerns that Superintendent Booker were talking about with CTE and the capstones and the requirements that we're putting in, it really is, how do we get kids engaged in these classes, really thinking about careers, really having quality education, quality partnerships? These are all very complicated problems, but I think it's worthwhile to keep pushing. I don't think we need to, I mean, yes, we can reevaluate the requirements overall, but I think the interest, the reason why we're doing it is very good. And I think not only just the state of California, but what we're doing. I appreciate, Brian, what you were saying about working with teachers in-house versus out. I think still partnerships are something we need to look at, maybe internships after school, something that could be kind of connected that we haven't really thought about. I think those are some things we need to explore. I think one of the things that I didn't hear yet, to get more insight into engagement, I know that Trustee Chavez was trying to say, hey, can we have it across the board and be equitable? But what about student voice? What does it look like at each school? What do they really want? What are they thinking about? What is, have them help us mold what we want to have. Because each school, granted, each school has teachers of expertise. You know that San Mateo's the biotech, and there's some really hot spots of great CTE things happening in different schools. And I don't think we need to change that, but how do we look at what school students want, at Hillsdale versus Burlingame? And I think we need to engage we've done some great engagement with students before, and I think we need to do more of that. So I know I'm talking too much, and I apologize to President Griffin, but yeah. Well, no, you all are talking a lot, so.
Okay.
There we go.
I did try to give Trustee Lance some chips so that I could speak, but
Just to cut me off. I
but
know.
but he said no. He saw quickly my motive. Here, you can have the chips now. I want to mention about the community colleges. Because everyone's been mentioning that we're fortunate to have community colleges in our county, and at San Bruno we're very fortunate to have the amazing Skyline College, and there's so many opportunities that exist at Skyline Community College. And there a lot of things are hosted there. It's a beautiful campus. We had the Women's Power Breakfast there in the what's the room called? Fairlawn, I think at the
Oh, yeah, it's
Fairlawn Islands.
beautiful space.
Fairlawn, yeah, it's beautiful when it's not foggy. It's beautiful when it's foggy. It's beautiful when it's not. It's a beautiful campus. There's so many opportunities, so many class offerings, and I always think about the CTE courses if somebody's interested to go there. But I was thinking about our students, and transportation is a challenge because in San Bruno, there's Samtrans up and down El Camino Real quite often. But if you're going to venture away from El Camino Real, I think that there's a bus that goes up to Skyline. I think it's the 122. It might be once every 30 minutes. It might be once every hour. I'm not here to say anything bad about Samtrans. I'm just saying that if you're going to go someplace and you have a class that starts, say, at 4 o'clock after school, or in the middle of school, that wouldn't really work too well for the students who are trying to get there at 2 o'clock to get back to campus. So I just was thinking about the transportation being a challenge. I think in-house, I would advocate for that. But I always think that if somebody has transportation, then of course the community colleges are a wonderful resource.
Yeah, I'll just quickly say that our classes are always on campus with the exception of middle college, which is all up there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but part of that experience often is we do take the students during that class at one point to the campus. We have resources to do that because you do want them to also get a sense of the college campus. So,
And we provide that transportation, as a district. I was just saying that if students want to take a class after school, the transportation can be a little challenging. Thank you.
Well, thanks for bringing transport up, because I wanted to say asynchronous classes are really nice, because I took one last semester and I'm taking one this semester. I took Psychology 100 last semester and Sociology 110 now. So I'm just saying asynchronous classes are pretty good because you can do them at your own pace. And I hear you at Samtrans, they take hours. My sister, for now, she's at CSM, and whenever she doesn't have the car or can't drive for any reason, and she takes the bus, she's usually like 10 minutes late to class. That's because the bus schedule is not always perfect. And that's annoying. It's really annoying. It takes up a lot of her time. So I hear her on that. So those classes for CTE could perhaps be just the ones offered by community college, but be asynchronous. Because many times students want to reach out and they're like, I'm going to reach out to this college professional so I can get some insight on, I don't know, career that they're interested in. But it's always not that close by. And most of the time, like say I wanted to take intro to business at CSM, and I searched up the classes. Everything's in person. I'm a full-time student, can't do that. Anything on the weekends? No, they have a life. They won't come and teach us on the weekends. And that's fine. So I think asynchronous classes could help because even teachers get their own time. They can make lecture videos and maybe reuse them year after year. So I think that could be possible. Maybe.
Thank you for your thoughts.
I do want to thank you. I can't say anything except, this was a good topic to bring up. I think we need to evaluate it from a whole bunch of different, from the course offerings, the sequencing, what we're trying to accomplish, the number of pathways. It's just, we look forward to, to future developments on this. So I think it needs TLC. Thank you. I'm going back to. Okay. S, Division of Human Resources Personnel Consent Agenda.
Consent agenda, we have the personnel actions and we have a job description for a teacher learning coach at Peninsula High School for the next 2 years. And then we have a revised and a multilingual specialist job description on consent.
Okay, are there any questions or comments from the Board of Trustees?
If no discussion, I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any comments in person? Any comments online?
There are none.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. T, Division of Human Resources.
Yes, the first item is for introduction and then the recommendation for approval of 3 contracts for non-represented administrators and managers. And I need to read out the specifics, and I'll do that first before we introduce the couple that are here. So the following are the compensation terms for 3 district non-representative administrators. Each administrator will receive health benefits up to $33,551.90 per month. They will see transportation and cell phone reimbursements of $275 per month, and various subscriptions, memberships, and reimbursements for district-approved expenses. Okay, specifically, Clarice Mesa will be the assistant principal of Aragon High School with a salary of $190,014 and a doctoral stipend of $3,482 with a work year of 214 workdays. Next will be James Ortega as assistant principals of Mills High School. Salary $185,379. And that will be under a 214 workday year. And then we have our Director of Student Services, Shalia Burnett, with a salary of $219,057. A doctoral stipend of $3,482 and a 221 workday year. And we have a couple here that Superintendent Booker will introduce.
Yeah, why don't we actually just process-wise, why don't we take a vote first and then I'll introduce our candidates.
Okay, does the board have any comments or questions on the?
If no discussion, I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments online?
There are none.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item passes unanimously.
Thank you. All right, well, I want to thank our guests tonight for hanging out during our board meeting. You get a little flavor of what we're all about. I'm glad you're still here. No, all joking aside, I do want to thank you for giving up your evening tonight. First, let me just talk about someone who isn't here tonight, Mr. James Ortega. He will join us as Mills High School's new assistant principal for the 25-26 school year. He's currently an assistant principal at Skyline High School in Oakland Unified, and has 20 years of experience in education at the middle and high school level, and I'm hopeful that I can introduce him to you all soon. Next up, we have Dr. Clarice Mesa. She's currently serving as the interim assistant principal at Aragon High School and was hired to fill the same role at Aragon as a permanent staff member for the 25-26 school year. Dr. Mesa previously served as the assistant principal at Liberty High School in Liberty Union High School District, and she also has over 20 years of experience in education from the elementary to the university level, and I want to welcome her up to just say hi and introduce herself and let us welcome you. Yeah, I think you have to press the button. There it
you
is.
go. Yeah,
Ah,
you're
there
on.
we go. They did it for you.
Hello, it's nice to meet you. I've gotten to know the Aragon staff and students in my short time and quickly learned that it's a special place. So I'm really excited to join the admin team and serve the Aragon community as assistant principal with my site and district experience. Mr. Booker explained about Liberty and also in Palo Alto. I know how important the district office staff and the board are in a district, and I look forward to partnering with you as a site admin to impact our students' experiences and outcomes. So, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Welcome to the
Welcome.
team.
Welcome.
Yeah. Next up, we have Dr. Shalia Burnett Lyle, and I want to welcome her to our district. She's going to join us officially on July 1st as our new Director of Student Services after working with the Alameda County Office of Education as an interim program manager of community schools. She served as the Director of Student Services at Richland School District 2 in Columbia, South Carolina from 2021 until January 2025, where she developed extensive experience in leading strategic, data-driven school and district-wide improvement teams. She was an adjunct professor at Clemson University from 2022 to 2023, where she taught courses in instructional leadership and contemporary issues in education. Dr. Burnett Lyle also served in a number of school site administrative roles, including as an assistant principal and principal in elementary and middle schools in North and South Carolina. She also served as a counseling and student services coordinator, school counselor, and AVID district director at the high school and middle school levels, respectively. Welcome to San Mateo Union High School District. Yeah.
Good evening, President Griffin, board members, Superintendent Booker, and the Greater San Mateo Union High School District. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here. I have thoroughly enjoyed this board meeting, and I really mean that. And let me share with you what I saw as an outsider that will soon be in. There was so much passion and dedication to students and student voice. And that is what I am passionate about. And I just feel at home already. I was nervous coming in, and I just walk away feeling so excited. The students over here, I wanted them to be here. I know they have class tomorrow, but they're gonna be my boss one day. They're going very far. So thank you all so much for allowing me to join. And please know that I am here to be a part of a team. This is an amazing district, and I look forward to being one more member that will advance the mission and vision of the district. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Personnel action addendum.
Addendum, yeah, no special recognitions on that, so recommend approval.
I make a motion to approve the personnel actions addendum.
I'll second that.
Just gonna
Okay, we
stop
have a
talking now.
have a motion and a second, or any discussion? Or any online comments?
There are none.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item passes 5-0. Any items for Division of Student Services?
No.
Okay, Division of Instructional Services. Got a public hearing coming up.
Instructional services, yeah, I'm sorry. This is the Teach Town and Unique Learning System Curriculum public hearing, but I'll hand it off. I'm gonna give you mine.
All right, at the previous board meeting, you heard about the alternative pathway, the inclusive diploma pathway. This is the curriculum that has been piloted, and now we're having a public hearing on Teach Town and unique learning systems. So we just want to have the public hearing before the adoption is.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Are there any questions or comments from anyone in the public? Any online comments?
There are none.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
No, they don't approve it tonight.
Yeah.
It was just hold the public hearing.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, Division of Business Services,
None this evening.
and I see you gave Yancey Hawkins the evening off.
I did.
Hopefully he's online watching
No,
this show.
I hope not.
It must. Yeah. Board operations,
None this evening.
okay. Future board agenda items.
Let me just indicate for the board that we've got our April 17th board study session on, it's the DLAC presentation. April 24th is a math update as well as an AVID program highlights and senior standout. May 8th, we'll continue to discuss the instructional framework. Also on May 8th, we're going to bring back the multilingual learner board policy for review and updates. May 22nd, we'll be doing a mental health update. And that's what we have so far, unless there's more.
Anybody? Trustee Jacobson?
I just have a concern about having the math update on the same night as the AVID presentation because I feel like those are both time consuming and I don't want the math one to get short shrift. Any other thoughts?
No, I think it's a good comment.
April 17th is the board study
DLAC,
session for
correct.
DLAC. I mean, we're happy to move it to the board, not the DLAC one, I'm talking about the math.
The math and the
to
AVID.
Whatever you,
Well, I don't know what all else is on that agenda. We should consider that, and when we get to the
Maybe,
planning.
yeah, when you guys do the planning.
Yeah.
you think
Yep.
about
Because we
that.
try not to have more than a couple of hours. 'Cause we
That's
know
your
it
job.
turns into 3 hours.
yeah.
And we talked about, kind of splitting it up, that one meeting is like the recognitions and
Yep.
happy stuff. And
Yeah.
then another meeting of the month is more of the, like, let's talk about some,
Roll up our sleeves.
yeah. And so I
Yeah.
feel like that meeting doesn't follow that framework.
Because we're running out of meetings. in
Yeah.
school.
Meetings.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, why don't we do this? I'll work with President Griffin and Vice President Chavez on how to sort this out.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments on the future agenda items?
Will the mental health one discuss what brought up tonight, or is it going to not?
On advice of counsel, I don't think we
Okay.
should be discussing it in public at this point.
Okay. An update in some sort would be great.
For sure.
Offline.
Okay, anything else? Meeting adjourned. Cool.
Thank you. Thanks, President Griffin.